And I understand part of the program occurred yesterday, and Lou tells me there were a lot of high school kids here, and that's very encouraging because for me, reaching the next generation is important for all of us. But, one thing that we have said, many of us in this room have said it many times, we better straighten up our act because, our kids and our grandkids are going to suffer and they're going to have to pay the bills. But, I've quit saying that because I think we're paying the bills right now. The consequences are hitting us. Of course, the bills haven't been paid for, but the problem of paying for them and the necessity of paying the bills, it's pretty clear to us. So it is, it is a real delight to come today and visit once again and see the success of the Mises Institute, because it was what now, Lou, almost 30 years since Lou started the Mises Institute, and Lou had been working at the congressional office. He does mention it once in a while, but it's not the neatest thing in the world to mention it. You used to work for the government, but he does. And matter of fact, somebody else worked for me in the office and helped me on the Gold Commission report, and that was Murray Rothbard too. So I always found that a bit of an irony. But no, I think that the Mises Institute has been fantastic. What has happened in these past 30 years, I mean, it really laid the groundwork for so much as what has happened and changed the attitude of so many people. And you can't measure it. You don't know what part exactly the Mises Institute was responsible for, or somebody else that got interested and studied on their own. And you can't measure those kind of things. But obviously, the Institute has had a tremendous impact. During the presidential campaign, I got a lot of credit and continue to get some credit for, stirring the interest and exciting people about the Austrian school and about freedom and the Constitution and limited government. But the truth is you have to have a philosophic change. One individual can't do that. It may be that one person can, ignite interest, but there has to be some groundwork done before that. And I think that is why the Mises Institute has been so important, because it contributed so much to that. But that's continuing. We're winning at the grassroots level. We're winning outside of Washington. Of course, we're waiting for the day we're going to win in Washington and really change that place. But we're a lot closer to that now than we've ever have been, change it in the right direction. We hear a lot of talk these days about members of Congress getting along together as a consequence of that real sad tragedy out in Tucson. And, of course, now the proposal is that we need more bipartisanship. We need to get along together. So the conservatives are going to sit beside a liberal on the House floor next week, and everything is going to be okay. But, my argument is I have no problems with working with people, working in coalitions and trying to convert people, and I try my very best. Matter of fact, Walter Jones is a very good friend of mine, and we sit right in the middle of the aisle, and I think we're very bipartisan because we have Democrats talking to us more than the Republicans are talking to us in the middle there. So, but they're talking about this bipartisanship. And I've come to the conclusion, yes, under certain conditions, bipartisanship sounds very reasonable. But for the most part, I think we've had way too much bipartisanship over the years. What we've had is an agreement by the majority of those on the Republican side and the Democratic side that they endorse certain policies. I mean, is there really a division with Republicans and Democrats on the foreign policy? Does one, really have a non-interventionist foreign policy and the other a militaristic foreign policy? No, both parties are very militaristic and very aggressive, and they have given us the conditions overseas and the problems that we face today because there's been too much bipartisanship. Matter of fact, they have argued so often that in foreign policy, you always have to stand behind the president. They've always taught us that you don't have divisions over foreign policy. But think about domestic policy. Has it been really any difference? Are Republicans really opposed to the welfare state? They're complaining now and they want to repeal Obamacare, but I wonder if they're going to repeal Bushcare too. And that's what we need. So we have bipartisanship there, and certainly there's been bipartisanship on just about every attack on liberties that you can think of, from the Patriot Act on down. Rarely are those programs passed solely by one party versus another. But philosophically, we have way too much bipartisanship. But what I would like to see is the coming together. The other day, I had an interview on Fox Napolitano, the great Andrew Napolitano. But he had an individual on with me by the name of Ralph Nader, and I know that there's lots of things that we can find, about the flaws of Ralph Nader, but Napolitano really ran a great interview because he brought out all the things that we could agree with on the people coming from the left, and then also pointed out how we strongly disagreed with who should deliver medical care. But there's nothing wrong with talking to people from different spectrums of the political system, especially we who are coming from the freedom philosophy, because there's bits and pieces endorsed by all factions. So our job is to pick the best of each party and those individuals who might agree with us on foreign policy and civil liberties and bring them together and understand it's one and the same thing. And that to me is, in a way, a bipartisanship. It is a compromised effort. But what they're talking now that what we need to do, we are in big trouble, so we need to compromise and get along with the other side. So what was what are the first challenges? Well, yes, so what we'll do is we'll compromise, and they've been doing this for years in a bipartisan faction. What they do is they compromise and they raise the military spending and they raise the domestic spending, and they call that the compromise. But there is a better compromise. Why don't we compromise and say, if we cut $10 billion out of this militarism, you cut $10 billion out of this welfareism, and then maybe we'll get back down to a reasonable budget. But unfortunately, we're not about to reach that point. Because there's been a lot of talk. There's a change in the elections, and certainly in the House there's a change. And people ask me all the time, "What do I expect?" The House is going to do better. Not so much that their beliefs have really changed, but the politics have changed. And the House members now do not have to take their orders from the president. That was where the problem was before. We had the House and the Senate, and there were so many things that we could have done if they half believed in what they preached. But now that's not the case, and Obama's a good target. So they are probably going to do a better job in the House, but that's not going to translate into much improvement in the legislation because the momentum is so great. I think the most important test will be here in the next month or so, and that will have to do with raising the debt limit. And already, it's a big political thing. And when they need something, like when they need to invade Iraq, or they need to invade somebody, or they need medical care, they drum up all these horrors. And already, the Secretary of the Treasury has already come to say the end of the world is coming if we don't raise the debt limit. So be prepared. We don't want the end of the world. We just want the end of that government we have up in Washington. But the scare tactics are building, and they will scare people into it. And just like remember when the totally unanticipated, nobody knew there was a bubble, and finally there was a breakdown of the economy in 1907-08, and then that was an emergency. And had to do it or the whole world would end. So in order to have great spirit of bipartisanship, we had two candidates, one Republican and one Democrat, rush back to Washington